shout louder. Feel my superpower. See me go against your rules, yeah, I shout louder. When you push, I pull out my superpower. Power, my superpower. Power,
Totem, Deconstructed Shadow. The piece is inspired by seeing shadows cast all around us on the surroundings. Because living here in the desert, we have the sun all the time. It's part of our life. And I started paying attention to like the shadows of plants and things. And I started cutting these shapes out of metal. And then they're constructed into the sculpture. So they become a three-dimensional object, and they can actually cast their own shadows, kind of within itself and then on surrounding areas. Jung talked about the shadow side, that we all have this hidden, mysterious, sometimes the side of us we're not so happy with or we don't want others to see. And this piece, in a way, is playing on the shadow and saying how important this is. And a lot of the creative ideas that make good art come out of these shadow ideas, and it brings it out and says, look, we all have this, we're all human, and we don't need to judge each other so harshly because this is just part of being humans. I'm hoping that it's different for different people and it can also evolve over time, but that it's really like an open door to questioning and seeing things differently.
My sculpture is called Double Wide, 6 foot tall, laying on its side shopping cart. It looks like a derelict shopping cart that you might see in a parking lot. I've been a sculptor for 43 years. Went to college up in Phoenix and learned that I wanted to be a sculptor and learned how to start making things. I love to fabricate, welding and working with wood. And I like to make objects. And one time I was in a shopping center with my younger sister, and we saw a shopping cart that had fallen over, somebody knocked over, and it just seemed really funny. For some reason, we just laughed, and because it was, I think part of it was a utilitarian object that was rendered useless. We as an American society love to consume. I think that's part of a message, if there's one in there. Many people have said, you know, you could take that to Costco because it would hold a lot. We like to overconsume, I think, really, and especially true in the early part of the pandemic and the time we're living in now. You know, people went, and it's still not known why toilet paper was being hoarded.
I can't fit in here.
Just hope that it'll be up long enough that people can come and look at it and wonder why it's doing what it's doing, and have the picture taken standing inside of it and spinning the tires.
The name of the piece is Persephone's Memory. So I cast my entire body in plaster gauze, and those pieces, I've turned those into wax, and then the wax will be cast into aluminum. I'm gonna mount them on steel. There'll be pieces missing where it's gonna be, you'll be able to see the aluminum and the steel frame underneath. Really, that there's beauty in the not so typically beautiful things. I find a lot of beauty in grotesque and ugly things. And this piece is not going to be a conventionally pretty body. It's lumpy, it's fat, it's missing pieces. The face is not a face of happiness, it's a face of kind of agony. Really, the expectations and the demands that are put on women and their bodies and appearances and also my personal experience of being raised in an extremely religious, misogynistic household, which added even further demands on appearance. So I hope people see that you don't have to be conventionally beautiful to find beauty in things. It's been a huge lesson in adaptability. I haven't really been able to do anything over the entire summer, and I wasn't able to touch it again until classes opened up again in September. So I've just been sitting with my anxiety all summer, waiting anxiously. Really excited, really honored, really surprised still, even 6 months in. Hopeful about the future, more projects like this.
Blumenfelsen. 3D printed flowers that represent kind of what maybe flowers would look like if they were rock. They're in different colors, different materials. My inspiration for this piece came into taking the environment into account and what I thought would look nice. I knew I wanted to do a 3D printed sculpture. So I'm hoping people will take away something different that maybe they haven't seen before, something 3D printed. We've also worked alongside the makerspace, so there is a part of scientific inquiry into this. We're using different materials. We want to see how well they last, how well they hold up, how well the color holds up. We are still learning a lot about it. It'll be something a little different from everything else, but something that'll maybe inspire some students to try 3D printing.
The title of the sculpture is Tower of Knee. It's a series of 7 cast concrete and painted legs, one stacked on top of the other. It's a piece that I started many years ago. I made molds. The molds are directly taken off of legs, so it's actual people's legs. The bottom knee, I think of it as sort of the anchor leg because she was a sprinter. She ran the anchor leg in a 440 relay. Melinda Sargent was an All-American NCAA sprint champion, 100-yard dash and 50-yard dash sprint champion, and her leg is the bottom leg in the column. The knee joint is the weak factor in the human anatomy in terms of strenuous physical exercise. And that's the first thing that tends to go out, and that was kind of my initial focus, was that vulnerability of that particular joint in the human body. I really like for people to take from it whatever it is that it happens to suggest to them, rather than me dictate something. At first glance, it would look abstract. I don't think you'll recognize that they're legs. I think it's just an abstract column from a distance, and then recognition with a closer examination, I think.
I said, well, you know what? Maybe I could do an ice wall, because I had done some ice sculpture before. I'd done some walls also in concrete, and here we are. Water is precious. Of course, everybody talks about walls, and so this is kind of part of it. But basically, I'm more like a formalist. I wanted to see the thing up and see how it looks like. And of course, the fact that it's changing, from the minute to the minute is something interesting to me. Paintings still age, but it takes a long time. And somebody said, when is the painting finished? And then I said, well, I don't know when it's sold. And Andy Warhol said, when the check clears. And I said, well, it's actually finished when it's restored. And but here, it's another aspect. In fact, we're in another discussion, which I'm interested in, to see it collapse in a way. To be honest, I'm pretty selfish. I mean, I'm interested in seeing the piece up, and the rest of what people think or say about it, that's basically their positions. But I guess for students, there is the idea that, you could do what you want to do and just do it, and then see what's happened.
title of my sculpture is Gyre. My art piece, when you first look at it, you'll think, my God, that is so simple. But the more you look at it, the more complex it actually becomes. Not only is it a very quiet little nod to my love of geometry, shape and color and movement, but it's also a nod back to a simpler time, when you used to play, when you used to just have fun. This is a sculpture that you can go spin. You can watch it, the colors change as the sculpture moves around in the light. I hope it just makes people happy. I hope it makes people curious to walk up and look at it. It's okay to touch, and to spin it and watch it change as it moves around. I want people to be happy. Public art, in my opinion, is just saying, whoa, stop. Just take a breath. Just take a minute. That's all you need. Just look at it. Let it touch you. Let it move some emotion in you. The whole idea behind public art is you're out in public. So it's sad that we're losing that. We're missing that for a while. But the fact that it will be online, the fact that people can see it that way, it'll get discussed. So all of the works here, I'm sure they will all be discussed at one point or another.